I'm going to take a class on mechatronics. Uh, in our last class, we were discussing about the introduction of mechatronics. This topic, that is up to the structure of mechatronic system, the introductory portion is over. From here onwards, that is measurement system onwards, we are getting into the subject as I told before. So from here, we have to give some additional focus to know what the subject is. Actually, the subject is more interesting than what we are seeing so far. So, measurement system. Measurement systems are systems used to measure the required parameters. As I told before, there are many parameters inside a mechatronic system. For example, as I told an example of an robot as shown here, or an example of a servo motor. These are all examples of a mechatronic system. Uh, when a mechatronic system is considered, there are many parameters. If it consists of many parameters like electrical parameters, mechanical parameters, and so on. Uh, just one more time, I'm repeating. The mechanical parameters are position, velocity, like that, temperature, etc. Um, then electrical parameters are electric current, voltage, etc. So, in order to measure these parameters, we are using a measurement system. So, the measurement system consists of four parts, as I told before. It consists of the first part is a transducer or a sensor, which converts the physical input to an output, and the second part is signal processor, which filters, amplifies, or other signal conditioning are used in that unit, and an intelligence unit, which enables sensor to communicate with the other subsystems, and last one is monitoring of data. The important thing we need to focus here is just the block diagram shown below. It is a generalized block diagram of a measurement system. It consists of an input to an transducer or sensor, and then the output from the sensor, that is a signal. Mostly it will be a signal. That signal is given as input to the signal conditioning unit, from where it convert according to the need. And from the signal conditioning, the output is given to an intelligence unit, and from there it is given to a display unit, from where we can see the measured value. Actually, the measurement system here, I'm giving an example of a weighing machine. The weighing machine is a simple example of this measurement system. Uh, as an input to the weighing machine, a person is standing above the weighing machine. Uh, in place of transducer or sensor, a strain gauge is actually playing the role of transducer or sensor. When a person stand above the weighing machine, actually he is standing above the transducer strain gauge. From strain gauge, it produces a voltage signal, and the voltage signal is amplified using a voltage amplifier. It is actually in position of a signal conditioning unit, and then instead of an intelligence part, a logic unit which will convert the voltage, that is amplified voltage, into a display value. Actually, the display value shows corresponding to the input weight of the person who is standing above the weighing machine. This is actually the measurement system, and these are the elements of a measurement system. This is actually not much important, but we just need to know what are the elements in a measurement system. There is a primary sensing element, then a variable conversion element, a variable manipulation element, a data transmission element, a data processing element, and a data presenting element. This is these elements altogether plays the role of these blocks in the line diagram. Okay, I hope it is clear. I already explained this in the last class, so I'm going to the next topic: control system. Actually, in a control system, parameters are controlled. In measurement system, actually the parameters are only measuring. That is the parameters of one technology. That is, I already told that there are many. This is an interdisciplinary course. So more than one technology is used. That is, one mechanical parameters is to be measured and given as input to another system, and at the same time some other electrical parameters should be measured and given input to the same unit, logic or processing unit. So multiple parameter measurements should be there. For that purpose a measurement system is using. Here in control system, it is actually used for controlling the parameters. Just measuring the parameters will not be sufficient for accurate working of a mechatronic system. For that purpose, a control system is introduced in a mechatronic system. Parameters are maintained as constant or variable according to pre-programmed type. Actually, inside a control system, it is used for the parameters are maintained as constant or variable normally, and the components may be mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, thermal, or chemical in nature. Okay. Actually, in a control system, to control the parameters, first basic thing is we need to get the real-time reading of the parameter. That is, if we are measuring a temperature or pressure like parameters, we need to find the real-time reading of that temperature or pressure. Then we have to compare it with the standard value that is already pre-programmed value. And if the two value, that is real time reading and the pre-programmed value, is not same, we have to control the value of the parameter. This is the general outline of control system. Next, I think it is clear. This is just a brief idea of what a control system is. Next, we are going to the functions or importance. Functions or importance of a control system. The importance of control system is to minimize the error between actual output and desired output. And the second function of the control system is to minimize the time response to load changes in the system. These are the two important functions of the control system. Getting into detail, there are two types of control systems. One is open loop control system. It is also known as non-feedback control system. And the second one is closed loop control system. And it is also known as feedback control system. When you see the name itself, we can find the main role or main difference between these two control system are the presence of feedback. Okay. Getting into detail, an open loop control system, that is, as I told before, non-feedback control system. The control parameters are simply regulated. In this type of control system, the measured parameter that I already told, that inside a mechatronic system there will be a measurement setup for measuring the parameters. So the measured parameters are simply regulated with a pre-programmed value. That is what happening inside a open loop control system. And the block diagram is shown here. The input to the controller is processed and an output is given. This is what happens in an open loop control system. The example for open loop control system is ordinary fan. That is ordinary fan that we are used in our home. A ceiling fan, most of us are familiar with the ceiling fan. So it is an example of open loop control system. Why it is called an open loop control system? It is because when we switch on the fan, it is given an fan is given an input voltage or input current. The and it produces a rotary motion, that is the output, or at a certain speed. Okay, at a certain RPM, the fan will rotate when we switch on the fan. When we change the speed using a regulator, the speed of the fan is changing. Actually, we cannot select the RPM, but we are just changing the regulator to get a certain value of speed. This is an example of open loop control system. So there is no return signal to verify whether the process completed or not. For example, if I want to rotate my fan at a certain speed, then I increase the regulator, but I didn't got a desired output. Then uh, the regulator additional voltage input to the fan, but the fan no what there is no feedback to that's what mentioned, no return signal to verify whether the process is completed or not. And the second point is the error finding and correction is not possible. Uh, as I said before, there is no feedback system, so the error finding and correction is not possible here. And the advantage and disadvantages of the controls open loop control system is given here. As we compare it with a closed loop control system, the advantages are, that is, I'm comparing it with the closed loop control system. The advantage of open loop control system are it is comparatively simple. That is, as compared to closed loop control system, there is no much complication in design or something like that. So it is comparatively simple. And the second advantage is because it is simple in construction, the cost will be automatically less. Okay. At the same time, as we know the working of an open loop control system, we can find that it is useful in application where output is difficult to measure. If the output if we feel some difficulty to measure the output, we can we can actually use an open loop control system. Why? Because in closed loop system, I will explain it later. Anyway, in closed loop control system, there is need for a feedback loop which should be taken from the output. So in case of output, output is difficult to measure, we have to we have to go for open loop control system. So these are the advantages of open loop control system, and the disadvantages of open loop control system are given here. The error cannot be found and corrected. Control actions depends upon input command. The presence of noise can result in malfunctioning. First disadvantage, error cannot be found and corrected. In an open loop control system, as I said before, when the speed increases or decreases, the regulator that we the human change the unit. So of open loop control system, input command, the control actions are completely the second the instead of decreasing the speed, there is a chance for increasing the speed of fan. So that result in a malfunctioning. That means the desired output will not be produced. So these are the disadvantages of an open loop control system. And in case of a closed loop control system, it is also called non-feedback control system. Okay. Actually, sorry, it is not non-feedback. It is feedback control system. I'm sorry. You have to correct it. It is feedback control system. Okay. In case of feedback control system, parameters are instantaneously controlled. In case of closed loop control system, every parameters or a certain parameter, as I told before, a parameter is mechanical parameters are temperature, pressure. If we are considering a pressure measurement or a temperature is considered as the parameter for that for a particular process, the temperature is the main criteria here. Okay. In case of closed loop control system, parameters are instantaneously controlled. Okay, with the help of what? The feedback unit. I will explain with an example, and they have feedback device and an error detector. Okay. Uh, for detailed understanding of this closed loop control system concept, we have to take an air conditioning unit. We all are familiar with air conditioning unit. We know in an air condition, a compressor is there. Compressor is producing what? Desired coolness, cooling effect. Okay. So in an air condition, we are mostly focusing on a compressor. As in the previous example of fan, we are consider the regulator as the main controlling device. Here, we are considering uh, a compressor as main device. So in an air conditioning unit, there will be a thermostat inside the room, which shows what is the actual temperature at the inside the room. That is actually the feedback unit of a air conditioning system. Okay. When an air conditioner is switched on, and we inside in our remote we dialed a number called 18 degrees Celsius as our uh, room temperature. We set 18 degrees Celsius as our room temperature. Uh, when it is switched on, the room will not be at 18 degrees Celsius. You know, in normal days, our room will be mostly at 24 or 25 degrees Celsius. I think from that temperature, before switching on the air condition, the room thermostat of the air condition shows 26 degrees Celsius. So at the time of switching on the air conditioning unit, the thermostat will show initially 25. For example, if it was 25, initially it shows 25 degrees Celsius. That information is given into a air conditioning processing unit, and that processing unit shows it actually detects an error. That is, we set an 18 degrees Celsius as room temperature, but now the thermostat is showing 25 degrees Celsius. So there is an error between uh, our desired value and the output. So the processing unit of the air condition gives an error signal to the controller. That is, here the compressor is actually controlling. So an error signal is fed into the compressor, and that voltage will increase the performance of the compressor and produce more cooling effect, and which will produce a desired temperature as 18 degrees Celsius. I think the example shows a clear idea about a closed loop control system. which is a feedback based control system. In a non-feedback based control system, there was a fan and a regulator which was manually operated. Here, it is automatically set with the help of a thermostat, a controlling unit inside the air condition, and a compressor. Okay, I think the difference between open and closed loop control system is clear. And now coming to advantage and disadvantage of an closed loop control system. The advantages are better reliability. That means the system will be reliable as compared to open loop control system. The closed loop control system will be more reliable because there is a feedback system to detect an error. Okay. So the closed loop control system is better reliable. Next advantage is the accuracy. That is, our desired output will be more accurate in case of closed loop control system. As a third advantage, we can say that the better stability. That is, in case of open loop control system, there was a disadvantage that the presence of noise can result in malfunctioning. But in case of closed loop control system, instantaneously the parameters are controlled. So the desired output will be somewhat stable, accurate, and reliable. These are the advantages of a closed loop control system. And in case of disadvantages, we know that the closed loop control system got many more components as compared to open loop control system. That is a feedback system and an error detector. So somewhat this system is little bit complex. You can see that in an open loop control system we selected an example of a simple fan and a regulator, but in case of closed loop control system we have to take somewhat complex example like air conditioning unit. So in case of disadvantages, due to complexity of construction, the cost is very high in case of closed loop control system. We already told that in order to produce this feedback system and error detection, a complex construction is required. And the third disadvantage is the maintenance is very difficult for a closed loop control system. We know the construction is already complex, so the maintenance will be automatically get complex. These are the comparison of open loop and a closed loop control system. As far as exam is concerned, this we have to focus on these two parts. This is not written in syllabus, but we have to focus in these two parts. I hope this is clear to you. And now I am moving to next topic, that is levels of mechatronic system. This is just giving an overall idea of what a mechatronic system uh, after manufacturing looks like or classified as. In levels of mechatronic system, the first level is, for example, it is a standalone system. That means a washing machine unit or a compact displayer, autofocus camera. These are the examples of standalone system. There are no interconnected devices or some other things to control this system. So these are the examples of a standalone mechatronic system. And the second level is system with a high level of distributed sensor, microcontroller, actuator relationships. Actually, the system with a high level of distributed sensors, microcontrollers, actuator relationship. A wire aircraft is an example for a system with a high level of distributed sensor, microcontroller, actuator relationship. A wire aircraft is actually the aircraft which is controlling with the help of electronic equipments. The manual controlling from a pilot is very less as compared to normal aircraft. That is what happening in a wire aircraft. So this is somewhat what to say upgraded type of standalone system. is a system with a high level of distributed sensor microcontroller actuator relationship. And in third level, we can see that a large factory system that is also a distributed system but links a number of major subsystems. This is the third level of mechatronic system. That is a large factory. It consists of many minor mechatronic system. So this large factory can be considered as third level of mechatronic system, such as machine centers, robots for part handling, automatic inspection station, etc. are included in a large factory. So the large, not these things, but the large factories can be considered as a third level of mechatronic system. And at the top level, we can see that a system incorporates intelligent control. A system with artificial intelligence. We all are familiar. At least we know about what artificial intelligence is. It is an upgraded type of uh, mechatronics or a robotic system. Uh, it is an example for fourth level of mechatronic system, and the example is humanoid robot. Uh, this is how levels of mechatronic systems are classified. So next is mechatronics system design process. You need not to mug up these things, but to get a general idea, you have to see what is happening when mechatronic design process is going on. Inside designing process of a mechatronic system, there are three steps. One is modeling and simulation step. The second one is prototyping step. And the third step is deployment step. In case of modeling and simulation, the recognition of need, that is what should be produced, what is the need to produce the a mechatronic system is finding, and second one is conceptual design is forming, and the third step is mathematical model of the design is formulated. Then the required sensors and actuators are selected for a certain design, and the next step is to development of detailed model, and the control system design is done, and after that optimization is doing. This is what inside a modeling and simulation step of a design process. And in case of prototyping, hardware design and simulation of the mechatronic system is the first step, and the next step is design optimization. We have to optimize what we are already designed in the second step. So the second step is very small, and in the third step, that is deployment step, the deployment of software, that is we have to install a software to work the mechatronic system. Mostly it will be in microcontroller programming or something similar to that. And in the third and final step, the second is the manufacture and testing of the uh, mechatronic system. Actually, in the previous step, it was just a prototype. Prototype is not actually the product, but in case of deployment step, the manufacturing and testing of the actual product is doing in this step. And last thing is a life cycle test. Actually, it is testing how much it will uh, retain, how much the product will work. That is what calculating in life cycle test. Okay. The next is the objective of designing of a mechatronic system. Why mechatronic systems are using? Actually, that is included inside the objectives. And the first objective is to improve the product and process. Using a mechatronic system design, we can improve the product and process that already doing with the normal example. And in case to in second to design new products, and third to create new technology using novel concepts. These are the three objectives of mechatronics process. And next is advantages. The advantage of mechatronic system is very easy to design, process, and products. Using a mechatronic system, it is very easy to design, process, and products, and it helps in optimizing performance and quality. And the disadvantages are it requires a knowledge of different disciplines, and design cannot be finalized, and safety issues are very complicated. Those were the disadvantages of mechatronic system, and the applications are classified here. In field of medical application, the implant devices and assisted surgeries are can be completed with help of mechatronic systems. And in defense, the underwater vehicles, jet engine, etc., are the examples of uh, mechatronic system. And in case of automotive, climate control, anti-lock brake, that is ABS, uh, cruise control, airbags, speedometer display, etc., are example examples. And next is in manufacturing sector, the robotics and machines, etc., are examples of mechatronic system. And at last, the electronic home appliances, the home security, microwave oven, washing machines, cameras, I mean digital cameras, sewing machines, etc., are examples of electronic home appliance application of mechatronic systems. Up to here, your entire introductory section is over, and from this topic onwards, that is sensor onward, we are getting into a new topic. That is, after the introductory section, this is your next section in your syllabus. So already we are in between, we are familiar with what a control system is, and a basic understanding of a mechatronic system. So we are getting into a next topic. This is important as far as exam is concerned. So the sensors. The sensors are the next topic. This is very important. You have to consider it very seriously. So sensors. The sensors are elements that acquires physical parameters and changes into a signal. That is, the sensors actually receives physical, you can see in the diagram shown here, the sensor actually receives an input signal. It can be mechanical, it can be electrical, or depend upon what type of sensor it is. A physical parameter is given as input to a sensor, and it changes it into a output signal. Okay, a sensor produces an electric signal as an output. Okay, if it was a temperature or thermal sensor, it takes temperature as input and gives electric signal as output. If it is a pressure sensor, I'm sorry, if it is a pressure sensor, it senses pressure at the input, and same thing as electrical signal as output. Okay, so depending upon the type of sensors used, the nature of input changes, and the nature of output is always an electrical signal. Okay, so that is basic of a sensor, basic definition of a sensor. The primary element of a measuring system, that is sensor is actually a primary element of a measuring system. With the help of this sensor, you are actually measuring a physical parameter. So this is the primary element of a measuring system, which can measure physical quantities like position, force, displacement, strain, temperature, vibration, acceleration. In case of electrical system, it is current, voltage, etc. We can measure with the help of these sensors. Depend on the type of sensor. I'm repeating, if it is a temperature sensor, you can measure temperature and produce an electric signal. Okay, if it was a pressure sensor, you can sense a pressure, and the device will produce a pressure, electrical signal as output. In every cases, electrical signal will be the output. Okay. And we also need to know what a transducer is. Actually, transducers are the devices which convert one form of energy into another form. Transducers are devices which convert one energy into another form. Actually, in a measurement system that we already discussed before, inside a measurement system, the primary, that is first component is, or a first element is a sensor, and the second element is a transducer. Okay, the role of transducer is to convert one form of energy into another form. That is the role of transducer. Okay. That is, I'm repeating again, when input is a physical quantity and output is electrical signal, then it is called a sensor. It is the primary element of a measuring system. And when input is electric signal and the output a physical quantity, it is called an actuator. Actuator, we are just mentioning about the actuator, but we already told it at the introductory phase, but it is not important here, but I am just uh, mentioning it here. Okay. So next, there are two types of transducers. One is passive transducer and the other is active transducer. The passive transducers are transducers which are externally powered transducers. That is, the output energy is supplied entirely by its input signal. For the examples are resistive, capacitive, inductive transducers. Those are the examples of passive transducers. But in case of active transducers, uh, self-generating transducer, it is also known as self-generating transducers. It is called a self-generating device because it generates electric signal in response, in addition to the measured physical parameter. Okay, so the example of that active transducer are tacho generator and photovoltaic cell. You must get a clear idea what is going here. Only that is enough for getting a good marks in this subject. So next is sensors, transducers, characteristics. We can take it in next class. So I'm winding up the section right now. I hope it is clear.